I decided that today I was going to finally tell my inner critic to shut the fuck up and let me talk. So, how did we get here? I told myself in 2024 that I was going to start taking YouTube seriously. Naturally, I waited until 2025 to do that. I did post one video, I think, in 2024. And like a lot of ADHD creatives, I let the fear take the reins and overthought and overplanned and over-researched myself into never taking action. And so here we are in May of 2026, which I can't even believe that it's mid-May, no less, mid-May, with me overthinking, overplanning, and trying to figure out the perfect thing to say to you. When, if you're like me, you might have perfect people fatigue, and you might be tired of seeing perfect people show up online. And that is why I, a food blogger and food content creator, am showing up here on my couch in my office to talk to you today. Unscripted, unfiltered, lightly edited because, let's be real, perfectionism is a very difficult thing to shake. I decided that today I was going to finally tell my inner critic to shut the fuck up and let me talk. Because I feel like you and me could be really good friends. And I really like talking to my friends about food. I like eating food. I like making food. I like food. I am a food blogger. Contrary to what so many boomers in my life think, that does not mean that I go to restaurants and review them. That would be a food critic. I have a website where I share well-tested recipes for other people like you to make at home. And so I thought, like, how else can I show up on YouTube? How can I be here for you to help you? What does that look like when you're a food creator, right? I think the no-brainer move is recipe videos, making a recipe, showing people how to do that from start to finish. Like, while that is the most straightforward way that food content creators can connect with people on YouTube, it takes a lot of effort. With me being ADHD, perfectionist leaning people pleaser, that has kind of stopped me from showing up here. And I feel like YouTube is kind of like where my people are. People who really like to do a deep dive and who like to understand how things work and who like to know the backstory. I feel like that's where I am going to connect with my audience the most. I want to be of service. One of my favorite things is texting my friends about recipes that they can make. Like, help, I have a pint of cherry tomatoes that's about to die. And I'm like, oh shit, I've got some options for you. Here they are. And then we can kind of just like chat through that as they're cooking and problem solve in real time. And like, that's the kind of stuff I love. That's the connection that I love and that I crave, quite frankly, this day and age. But honestly, that being the expert is what has held me back from sharing with you for so long, because sometimes I'm afraid of being wrong. Sometimes I'm afraid of messing up, and sometimes I'm afraid of letting people down. I mean, one time somebody on TikTok was like, I made this salt recipe and it was way salty. And I'm like, it's salt. It's gonna be salty. But like, something about that, like, it hurt me because I led this person astray. I didn't do a good enough job of saying like, hey, this recipe is for an infused sea salt and it's going to be salty with a slight hint of lime. Positioning myself as the expert is what has kept me stuck for so long, because I think back to the time when I was a school teacher and I didn't really care about being the expert. All I cared about was sharing my knowledge with my students. In fact, I kind of liked when I made mistakes in front of them because it modeled for them what that looks like. So many of my students were perfectionists and they had perfectionist tendencies. And so like, I saw myself in them in that way. And so I wanted to kind of like help show them, like, it's okay if you don't know everything and you can make a mistake. You can misspell a word and feel free to correct me. I mean, do it politely. You know, you can say, Miss Newmeyer, you spelled a word wrong. And I loved that because I could be like, oh my gosh, you are right. I did spell that wrong. And you know what? I don't really know how to spell this word. Can somebody grab a dictionary and let's learn that together? That's kind of the energy that I want to show up here for you with, is let's learn that together. Like, yeah, I did go to culinary school. I went to baking and pastry school, and I do have like that foundational knowledge that not every food creator has. But I'm not saying that to say I'm better than them. I know more than them. I'm right and they're wrong. I'm saying it just to share my experience, you know, and to share, hey, this is where I learned that. It's more of like a rationale thing. Like, oh, well, I learned in pastry school XYZ. And I can hear even saying that out loud, that like it does sometimes come across as like know-it-all. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not how I want to show up here. And that's not how I want to show up anywhere, honestly. I think that energy is what's keeping me stuck, because that energy is like, an expert has to always be right and an expert can never be wrong. And I think that plays into the perfectionism thing. And instead, I want to show up in front of you as like a girl in her kitchen or her office who just likes to cook, who likes to talk about cooking, who likes to talk about baking, who's passionate about sharing recipes, who's passionate about sharing what she's learned, and who wants to learn and cook together. I think that's going to help me show up more authentically for you and with you. Together, we can take a pinch of inspiration. No, I'm kidding. But I think that together, like, I like to think of cooking and baking. I know everybody says like cooking is an art, baking is a science, but I kind of look at them as the same thing, you know, like cooking and baking, it's like painting. You know, we're taking red and we're taking blue and we can make purple. We're taking these separate ingredients and we're turning them into a dish. You know, we're taking ingredients and we're combining them in creative ways that like it feeds you like physically, like at the most basic level, but it also feeds your creativity. It feeds your confidence. It feeds your connection. Those are the kind of recipes that I'm interested in. That's the kind of content I'm interested in creating. I can help people learn to cook more intuitively. I can help people develop those skills that I have honed over the years, and to understand like how flavors work together, how taste works together, how texture impacts things. You know, kind of like the base lessons that I learned in culinary school, and, you know, all of my research deep dives where like I'll read a cookbook or I will binge watch Great British Bake Off for the 1000th time, you know, like all those little nuggets of information. I can compile those for you, and like together we can share what we've learned from different places, and we can become better, more intuitive cooks so that we're able to flex our creativity and share our stories. That's what it's about. I don't really know if that's a niche. I don't really know if like flavor education, that feels more true to how I cook. And I think that feels more true to how I would like to share and show up with you and for you. If any of these ramblings sounds interesting, like let's chat about it a little bit more. What I really want to do is do more of these type of videos, things that I've learned that have helped me be a better cook that might be useful for you, and maybe answering some more questions that you have about maybe like a technique that you've struggled with, or just a concept that doesn't quite make sense to you, or you're like, do you really need to use a kitchen scale? Which, like, yes, you do. I think that would be more fun for me. My hope is that if it's more fun for me to make, that it's more fun for you as well. So I'm gonna stop talking now, because now I've got like 45 minutes of footage to try to do something with, because I am not going to make you watch this unedited. I don't think that's fair. And the perfectionist people pleaser in me just can't do it. So I'm gonna do like light edits, just like light. But I'm gonna do my darndest to not overthink it and get this video out so that we can continue to connect like this, because I did build this up in my head, but it was kind of fun to just yap. Hello. Thank you. Have a little yap sesh and just see what's up.